Mirror, mirror on the wall, who the realest of them all? Dang, huh? Swear to God, these niggas ain't really at all. Mirror, mirror.
Boston University graduation, like my degree was just like all Asian, right? Like Asians, they just know what they doing,
They
bro.
really do.
Like they was just in there. We need this applied degree, and they was out. And like 90% of those Asians were international students, so they're gone. Like they're not even in this country, right? Everybody came to my graduation, and they looked at all the applied degrees, like all of them, not only my degree, and they were all Asian. There weren't even white people.
Very few white people.
Yeah, it was all Asian. There weren't white people. There were no black people. And then
I'm pretty sure you were the only hijabi too.
yeah, I was the only hijabi.
Definitely the only one. I wasn't in my program.
I was the only hijabi.
To back off of that, it's very interesting what black people, black women go into for degrees when they do go to college. I mean, we're more likely to study things like public health, African American history, and that's great because those are things we're like interested in. But like, why are we not going into STEM? You know? But for me, like, I never was exposed to STEM growing up, and even if I was, like, I remember there were moments where I didn't believe I could be good at math.
Yeah.
I didn't believe I could be good at science because I didn't see people like me in those industries.
Right.
And I think that has like a huge factor into like what career paths we go into, you know.
Well, that's the thing though. Like I went to like a poor high school, right? Going back to like the entire process, and like they taught you nothing. Even like through finance, like they taught you absolutely nothing. Me now working in higher education, like I know so much, right? Because like I work with like the data side of like all of the incoming students and their application process, and so like to see what like students do to like kind of get into these schools, and even how the schools kind of decide who they're gonna accept or not, right? Like they have a certain percentage of black people they're gonna accept, right? But that's like, and there's a lot of black people that are really smart, right?
That
like,
are applying,
that even go to private school and all this stuff, but like they need only a certain percent. So once they hit that mark, they stop looking at
quotas,
black people, right? The quota. And then on top of that, like they're looking at you specifically to see if you're gonna go all the way through, because that hurts the school's numbers, right? So for them to be a prestigious school, they need to have at the least amount of dropouts as possible, right? And so like it's hard for them to be like, oh, we're gonna bet on you.
This goes back to like Amira's industry, data science. Like everything's about numbers. Even my program at Emory University, they made sure we graduated in 2 years. You know, like you start with everyone and you end, and if you don't, it's a cohort. Yeah, you need to finish with your class, and there has to be like an unusual circumstance as to like why you didn't finish.
Low key, like as an alumni, like I get it's a private school and it's a prestigious school, but like they need to do better when it comes down to
accommodating students.
Yeah, and like no, like even just like accepting others, right? Like they have a huge pool of international students, which majority are Asian, right? And like a lot of these Asian students have money, right? Like that's why they come.
What
like,
it comes down
a lot
to.
of universities, like they get international students because it helps them funding.
I'm pretty sure they pay cash, right?
Yeah, they have to pay cash. Like they have to prove that in their bank account they have the full amount.
They got shmoney.
Yeah, they have shmoney. Then like with like black people and like people of color and Latinos and stuff, like they don't have enough, right? Like my graduating class, I went to the black graduation. Like from the entire school, meaning undergrad, grad, law school, medical school, dental school, there was only probably 50 people that graduated.
That already tells you like there's a problem.
There's a huge problem, and then they're just like, we're doing better, and it's just like, but where?
No, they're not doing better.
And so like a lot of people that go like that grow up in the inner city schools, right? They're just like, I can't do this, let alone be like an engineer.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're not gonna have like the kind of like promise or like the hope.
And school's no joke. Like you will fail if you don't take it seriously. Like when I was getting my master's, like nobody saw me. I was out because I didn't want to fail out of my program. And it's like sometimes when I see people going through school, they're not taking it seriously. And it's like no wonder you're that horrible person in the group project, you know? Or it's like, I'm so sorry, but like damn, you have to drop out because you didn't focus in those classes. Like it sucks, but like when you're going to school, you really have to be like in beast mode. Like, your mentality and perspective has to be so different in order for you to be successful and like make the most out of the 4 years or 2 years or whatever amount of years you're there.
I don't know your experience, let me know, but like I think undergrad was much harder than grad school, but at the same time I wasn't in a cohort for grad school, so like it was definitely easier. I could take my time and I did it part-time, but like undergrad was just much harder, just because you have to kind of have a better time management skills, and you have to learn all of this on your own, right? Because we don't go to preparatory schools for high school and stuff. So like we just waste time. Like college, you have so much free time. So much free time.
Oh my God.
There's so many things you could join into and all this stuff, but like you really have to be on top of your own shit, because like there's no one there to be on top of it for you.
Yeah, that's true.
And so like undergrad was like a wake-up call.
Yeah.
And then grad school was kind of easy. It was just stressful, but it was easy.
I would say grad school kicked my butt. Like, it was really hard for me.
Really?
Really hard. Like, I almost failed my first semester because I didn't take it seriously.
So how about undergrad?
Undergrad was okay. Like, I'm not gonna say it was easy, but it was still challenging for me.
Yeah.
I'm not. People think that I'm like really smart. I'm really not smart. I have to try really hard to be
smart.
average. I'm not smart.
She's not
I tried very, very hard. I'm not smart. But it was just like, I tried really, really, really hard. And then when I got to grad school, I don't think I should have went to grad school when I went to school. I definitely should have took a year off, but my family was really pushy and wanted me to finish. And so I went and did it, but I was definitely not in the right headspace to be in school. But whatever, I finished it, I did it.
What do you think about living on campus?
Definitely.
Because I have some stories.
Girl, oh my God, the judgments. People are crazy, they need to mind their own business and stay in their own lane. Like, damn, it was already hard enough for my parents to let me go to University of Colorado Boulder, but my mom was really an advocate for me. She's like, no, you have to stay kitty, you know, like, go, you need to stay on campus, kitty, you know? And my dad was like, no, she can't go on campus, but she had her way, and she talked to my dad, and I got to stay on campus.
Yeah.
But going out of state, I'm pretty sure my parents hid that from people. Like, they kind of kept that a secret, hush hush. It was really a big deal in our families that we left, you know?
Yeah.
And it's not easy going. But you know, if you can live on campus, live on campus. So I definitely recommend living off campus, but just know it does come with a lot of BS.
Living off or on?
On campus.
Okay.
Well, okay, let's say you leave your parents' house and you go into a dorm. A lot of BS comes with that. And then let's say you're still in college and you want to live off campus, like in an apartment with your friends. Yeah. That's still a good experience too. But if you do not want to do that and like you need to stay at home, that's totally fine too. Like, stay home for undergrad, but for grad school you should leave. Or if you don't go to grad school, you should still leave the house and like teach yourself these responsibilities.
Yeah. So so my sister was the first from like my entire family to go to college.
Oh, I'm the oldest. She's the baby in the family.
Yeah, I'm the baby.
Just so y'all know,
so
we have different experiences.
So she was the first to go to college. She went to a state school as well, but it was a little bit further out. And so she was like, I'm going to college. She got like almost a free ride as well.
Good for her.
And like my mom was just like, oh my God, like a lady doesn't leave her house, right? Like she started that. And then my sister was like, well, come on. And then my mom was like, but how about your younger sisters? Who's gonna watch them? Right? And like I was in middle school, I want to say, and my other sister was in high school. And then like on top of that, like other aunties were like whispering in my mom's ear, like, oh my God, you're gonna let her go, yeah. And my mom is just very like sweet, and so like she kind of just like she just think like if you tell her a bad story, she just thinks that's gonna be everybody's story, right? And so she's like, no, you can't go, and it just became a big deal. And then my brother looked at my mom and was like, she got a scholarship, she's going. That's the end of the conversation, right? And so my sister went to college. She went for her entire 4 years. She had a really amazing time. And then from then on, she was independent, right? Like she even had her own apartment, all this stuff. She was really independent. Yeah, she was really independent. Yeah. And then my sister followed her, and my brother went to UMass Boston, so he didn't like really live on campus.
Yeah.
But my sister also followed her. She went to a private school in Boston, but it was a little bit further out, or in Massachusetts. She told me. And then like my mom was like going through this whole thing again, right? Like, oh my God, but how about your younger sister? And like I was like in high school, and I was like, I don't have time for you guys anyways, right? Like I was never home or anything, so I was like kind of looking at my mom like, it's really not that big of a deal. Let her go. And she also got a scholarship and stuff, and so she went. And then, but she only went for the first year, and then she came back and she transferred to UMass Boston. Okay. And then it was my turn, right? And when it was my turn, I was the first person to apply to a school out of the state. Yeah. Even though it's only an hour away, it was out of the state. And at that time, like my mom was just like, I'm done arguing with you guys. Like, I know you're gonna do what you want to do. Bye. Like, like, and so she let me go. And I just personally didn't like the experience, maybe because of where I went, right? It was just, I wish I went to HBCU.
Me too. Go to HBCU.
Oh my god, it would have been a different life, but alhamdulillah I didn't, because I think I'd be wild.
I'd be wild too, man. I'm glad I didn't go to HBCU and have too much fun.
Yeah, so like, I ended up coming back, and then like I took time off. I went to Ethiopia, all this stuff, and then I went to Quincy College and UMass Boston. And then when I finished UMass Boston, I ended up going to Boston University, right? Nice. And for both experiences, I lived at home, right? But I think personally that I'm like really responsible.
She is.
And so like I don't think I need to live on my own to like gain the responsibility.
Yeah, you don't always have to. Can we talk about the aunties?
Yeah.
The aunties and the uncles. I don't even want to call them that because I just feel like
the aunties and the uncles of the community, not our aunties and uncles.
Yeah, not our real aunt and uncles, like not our parents' siblings, but like those annoying Habesha parents that are not related to you and feel like they have an opinion on your life
and your children's lives.
Yeah, and they like control our parents and like influence their opinions, which affects our lives.
And a lot of them, they try to use like faith as like
religious manipulation as well.
Yeah, they're like, oh my god, haram. And the thing is that annoys me the most is that a lot of these aunties and uncles, like, where are their kids now? They're living on campus, or they moved out of the entire state, etc., etc.
It's kind of ruined our lives.
Yeah, and so like I understand it was a different generation, right? Like definitely a different generation from when my sister was going to college, but still stay in your lane.
That's what we're saying, like those parents really get on my nerves because they really have strong opinions.
Yeah.
And it's like, who are you? You're not my parent.
And the thing is also you're not paying the bill.
You're not. I worked really hard for what I earned, and like they try to take it away from me.
And then now they're just like, oh my god, I'm so proud of you, Nick.
You don't deserve that. Don't even come near me.
Yeah, I'm good.
I just say keep fighting and fight for what you want, because people are gonna be talking in your ear, talking about you, trying to control your life,
trying to tell you what to major in.
Don't listen to them.
Try to find a major that you like that you actually like, and then try to make it applied, right?
If you want to study sociology, but combine it with business. Combine it with something that's technical to help you get money, because we want to see you live your best life. We don't want you to be struggling for rent. You should not be struggling for electricity bill, you know what I'm saying, water, things like that. Like, things add up, and cost of living just keeps going up and up and up, and I don't see it going down. So we're trying to give you guys the advice to prepare better for your future and don't make the same mistakes we did. You know, alhamdulillah, I feel like we're doing a really good job of trying to catch up and really like close those and tie those loops of those mistakes we made in the past. But hopefully you guys don't have to go through what we went through.
Yeah.
I personally believe now college is a scam. They're just stealing money. I just don't feel like the way they set up these loans, it's just like crazy how the system is set up to pay it back. I also don't think college is right for everyone, and it's okay if you don't want to go to college. There are other things that you can do.
I agree. I don't think college is for everyone. I think if you are going to go to college, I think the experience is great, but it's not great for that price. So I think if you're going to go to college, be strategic. Like, there is no shame in going to community college for 2 years, because most states, I believe, at least Massachusetts, they pay for your community college. It's free. It's as if
very cheap.
Yeah, or it's very cheap. Where like when you apply for financial aid, it's all covered by grant, right? And you probably still have money left over to buy a laptop or whatever you need, right? Or books. Yeah. And then second thing that you would do is, I think, go to a state school. When you go to a state school, you would pay, depending, like UMass Boston, when I went, it was $12,000, and like I don't even know how I got back into that master's program, but alhamdulillah, it's done.
Yeah, so you have the option of going to technical school, community college, state schools. If you don't want to go to any type of school, get a job. And
learn. Just learn on your own. Go to the library. Learn. There's so many programs online.
Be active.
Yeah, like just look at like what Google's offering.
Start
look
a business.
Like LinkedIn's
be creative.
Offering. Yeah, be creative.
Don't just sit at home, because it doesn't do anyone any good. And if you don't go to school, just know your parents might rash you for that. But as long as you know in your heart you have a plan, like, keep fighting for it. Yeah.
And so just let us know if you have any questions, because we're definitely here to help.
Absolutely.
We have a lot of experience in the higher educational world that we were thrown into.
Yeah.
So just let us know, especially for the younger cats that are like applying now or like stressing over next year's tuition or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
We're always free.
Yeah.
We'll put our Instagram handles
somewhere
I'll give you my here.
Instagram handle and email address. If you want to really write out your questions.
Dang.
Yeah.
You could do that for me too. Now I feel like I have to do that.
Sorry, I'm just better with emails.
Okay, you could do that too. I'll like put it in the description.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Bye. Thank you for watching, you guys.
Mirror to tell me she the realest. I met her in the club and she wouldn't let me in it. Seen her in